Antarctica is one of the most mysterious and unexplored places in our world, and just when we thought we knew its secrets, we were proven wrong as more discoveries keep coming, from a community of Antarctic sled dogs to the largest land animal. Welcome to a new video. Here are 14 shocking new discoveries in Antarctica. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to our channel. It's free. Now let's get started. Number 14. The sled dog community in Antarctica. The most efficient workers ever stationed in Antarctica were not people, but furry, four-legged creatures. Much of the early data we know about Antarctica is thanks to dogs over nearly 5 decades. Britain's Antarctic expeditions relied heavily on a workforce of intrepid explorers who walked on 4 legs rather than 2 sled dogs. These loyal huskies were essential to the success of numerous expeditions from 1911 until 1994, when they were finally banned from Antarctica due to environmental concerns. The British Antarctic Service meticulously kept records of the employment, quote, of these sled dogs, tracking everything from their breeding and training to their health and performance in the field. Each dog has a unique name, personality, and role on the team. These records are still stored in the British Antarctic Survey Archives in Cambridge, England, in a green metal box. This natural adaptation meant that huskies could work for long periods in the cold without suffering frostbite or hypothermia. Whilst huskies have a reputation for being dramatic, they are actually originally working dogs. They have a huge amount of energy which they need to release decades ago. Huskies with their robust build and muscles would pull sleds long distances across icy and uneven terrain. Not just in Antarctica, the husky you have at home, their relatives, have been shown to be able to travel up to 60 m in a day, carrying loads several times their own weight. But hey, while some dogs still love the call of work, there is absolutely nothing wrong if the husky would rather just lie around all day. I guess that is what human company gives more motivation to do nothing. Number 13. Red and green snow. If you find yourself in Antarctica, you might come across red or green snow. Yes, colored snow is possible at the South Pole. The answer lies in tiny organisms known as snow algae. These microscopic creatures thrive in the cold, sunny conditions of Antarctica's summer. When the temperature hovers just above freezing, usually between November and February, these algae begin to bloom and spread across the snow. Red snow is often called watermelon snow because of its reddish-pink hue, while green snow algae give the landscape a mysterious green tint. Snow is no different simply in appearance. Red and green snow and algae contain chlorophyll in a substance known as aniline, which helps protect the algae from the intense UV radiation and allows it to flourish. However, these pigments also have a downside. They darken the surface of the snow, reducing its whiteness or reflectivity, which means that the snow absorbs more heat, leading to more melting. Recent studies have shown that these colorful blooms can significantly affect, accelerating the melting of snow on the Antarctic Peninsula. As the snow algae spread due to rising temperatures, they contribute to a feedback loop that exacerbates ice melting, a terrifying phenomenon that researchers are now desperately trying to prevent. Number 12. Bacteria under the ice causes water to turn crimson red. Antarctica, the coldest and most desolate continent in the world, is home to one of nature's strangest sights. Blood Falls, located at the snout of Taylor Glacier. Blood Falls is exactly what it looks like, a body of water with crimson liquid falling down. It was first discovered in 1911 by geologist Thomas Griffith Taylor, who initially thought red algae was responsible for the color. However, it wasn't until later that scientists discovered the true cause of a hidden iron-rich subglacial lake. It turns out that when the iron and salt-rich water of this ancient reservoir comes into contact with oxygen for the first time, it oxidizes, turning the water a deep, rusty red. In recent research, scientists once again discovered that we've only seen the tip of the iceberg with this discovery. The source of the water is no ordinary underground lake. It's a lake that has been cut off from light and oxygen for over 1 million years, creating an environment that at first glance seems completely inhospitable. But it turns out this isolated ecosystem is teeming with life. Microbial communities known as extremophiles thrive in the dark, super salty environment. These tiny organisms have adapted to survive without sunlight, relying instead on iron and sulfur in the water for energy. Studies of this unique ecosystem continue to this day. Number 11. Fossils from 260 million years ago. Researchers at the Old Forest in Antarctica have discovered that millions of years ago, Antarctica was not the frozen landscape we see today. Geologists have discovered fossil fragments of a forest that thrived in Antarctica about 260 million years ago, long before dinosaurs roamed the Earth. This ancient forest flourished during the late Permian period, when Antarctica was still part of the supercontinent Gondwana. The fossils did not belong to ordinary beings, but were the remains of trees that once grew in what are now the Transantarctic Mountains of Antarctica. Among them was the Glossopteris, a tree with large tongue-shaped leaves that fell off every winter. These trees were incredibly resilient, adapting to the harsh polar extremes of continuous daylight in the summer and perpetual darkness in the winter. Unlike modern trees that take months to prepare for seasonal changes, these ancient trees could switch from active growth to dormancy almost instantly, a survival mechanism that remains a mystery to scientists. These trees flourished just before the permanent Triassic extinction event, also known as the Great Extinction, which occurred about 251 million years ago. This event was the most severe mass extinction in Earth's history, wiping out an estimated 90% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial life. The remains of these trees are allowing scientists to learn more about how life on our planet responds to its ongoing change. Who knows? Perhaps in time, Antarctica's frozen landscape could return to the lush forest it once was again. Number 10. The McMurdo Dry Valleys. One of the most extreme deserts in the world, one of the most inhospitable places on Earth, also known as the Valley of the Dead, are the McMurdo Dry Valleys. Unlike the rest of Antarctica, these valleys are largely free of ice and snow, creating an arid landscape that looks more like Mars than our planet. The valleys are home to the Onyx River, the longest river in Antarctica that is fed solely by melting glaciers and has become a vital subject of study for climate researchers. Despite their desolate appearance, the dry valleys have become one of the best places on the planet for scientific research. The valleys are whipped by katabatic winds that reach 200 miles per hour. In an environment so different from the rest of our planet, researchers believe exploring the valleys is key to learning more about extraterrestrial exploration. Number 09. An unknown well. A drone flew over the ice wall of Antarctica and captured the most shocking images ever seen. Just when we thought we had seen everything in Antarctica, this drone seemed to have stumbled upon a mysterious well deep within the frozen landscape. Its depth did not look like a natural formation, but rather seemed made by human hands. This is just one of many discoveries that continue to fuel conspiracies about ancient civilizations and secret facilities in Antarctica. Do you think it could be a remnant of ancient people who once survived on the continent, a part of a secret facility, or something formed by nature? Let me know what you think in the comments. Number 08. Abandoned Antarctic Research Station nestled in desolation and wind. The oat-swept coastline of Antarctica is a remnant of the Soviet Union's ambitious push into the unexplored parts of Antarctica during the Cold War, established in 1971 by the 15th Soviet Antarctic Expedition. This research station was once intended to house and support the Soviet Union's future efforts on the frozen continent, perched atop a rocky outcrop known as Leningradska Nunatak. The station was strategically located to withstand the harsh Antarctic elements, but that also meant it was subject to frequent and violent storms with little to no natural shelter. During its operational years, it was a meteorological and geophysical research center, with scientists studying everything from Earth's magnetism to atmospheric conditions. However, when the Soviet Union dissolved, so did the resources and support needed to maintain such a remote outpost in 1991. Leningradska was abandoned, leaving behind a ghostly landscape littered with the remains of oil drums, Soviet machinery, and decaying buildings. Number 07. Lake Vostok. The largest subglacial lake, Lake Vostok, is another unique environment found in the south. You see, this lake is not ordinary. This body of water was discovered in the 1990s through radar imaging. It is because this lake is not exposed to the surface, but is a subglacial lake that has been isolated from the rest of the world for over 15 million years. With a surface area comparable to Lake Ontario, Vostok is a time capsule that potentially houses ancient life forms adapted to extreme living conditions that has evolved in complete isolation from the rest of the planet. Planetary scientists believe that if life can thrive in the extremely oxygen-deprived environment of Lake Vostok, it could also exist in similar conditions on moons like Jupiter's Europa and Saturn's Enceladus, which is why, since its discovery, researchers have been taking samples from the lake to study it. In 2012, Russian researchers finally drilled through the ice to reach the lake and confirmed that there were traces of microbes in the water. Today, the investigation continues, and researchers are still eager to learn more about this hidden body of water. Number 06. Scientists discover largest volcanic region on Earth. A scientist from the University of Edinburgh discovered something beneath the icy expanse of Antarctica, the largest volcanic region in the world. Yes, you heard that. Scientists found not just one volcano, but nearly 100 of them with heights ranging from 325 feet to a staggering 12,600 feet. These volcanoes are part of the West Antarctic Rift System, a geologically active zone that could have significant implications for our understanding of the Earth's geological processes. If these volcanoes were to erupt, they could destabilize the Antarctic ice sheet potentially and accelerate global sea level rise. These discoveries were only possible because of advanced technology with more advanced radar that can penetrate Antarctic ice. Who knows what else will be discovered at the South Pole? Number 05. Algae that traveled 12,500 m to Antarctica. A bunch of algae that was washed away by the ocean thousands of miles may not be impressive, but there's a reason why this discovery has researchers excited. In 2018, researchers found that seaweed from distant oceans traveled an astonishing 12,500 miles to Antarctica. But what does that mean? It shows that marine life, including worms and snails, could use these algae as rafts to colonize the frozen continent. The algae were found on the Antarctic coast, far from their usual habitat in subantarctic regions like South Georgia and Kulin. You see, we believe that algae would not be able to pass the Antarctic polar front, a formidable barrier created by powerful winds and currents. But somehow, a group of algae managed to overcome storms and large waves. They seem to have provided the strength needed to propel these algae across these boundaries. As Antarctica's climate becomes more hospitable, these algae could transport a variety of species to its shores, leading to significant changes in local ecosystems. Researchers are now concerned that Antarctica, long considered isolated and unique, may be more vulnerable to invasive species than we ever imagined. This could dramatically alter the delicate balance of life in this pristine region. Number 04. The Pegasus wreck with the conditions. In Antarctica, it was extremely risky to fly, when aviation was not as advanced as it is today. But that does not mean that people in the past did not try. Deep in the icy expanse of Antarctica lies the remains of an airplane, one of humanity's many attempts to explore the South Pole in the past. Pegasus, a Lockheed Constellation CC-121 aircraft, landed on the continent on October 8, 1970. The plane landed near McMurdo Station in almost zero visibility when it was engulfed by a fierce storm that forced the pilots to shoot down the Ross Ice platform. What is surprising about this story is the fact that all the people on board the plane were aborted and abandoned. Today, partially buried in snow, the remains of the Pegasus remain a haunting relic, partially encased in ice with the iconic flying horse emblem still barely visible on its fuselage. The wreck site is a popular, if eerie, destination for those stationed at McMurdo to this day, with researchers and curious visitors occasionally unearthing parts of the aircraft, keeping its history alive. Number 03. The world's southernmost bar. I bet the Faraday bar is the last thing you'd expect to find on a continent with a population of just 5,000, most of whom are researchers and scientists. But nestled in the icy expanse of Galinda Island in Antarctica is the world's southernmost bar within the Burnetsky Research Base. This small but legendary establishment was originally built by British carpenters who, after building the station, decided to use the leftover wood to create a cozy pub that would remind them of home. In 1996, Ukraine took over the station, but they kept the bar top of mind. Am I right? The bar, which looks more like a British pub, is decked out with an eclectic mix of souvenirs, trinkets, and even items of clothing that people trade for 3 shots of locally distilled vodka. It's a strange tradition, and yes, you heard that. The bar distills its own vodka on site, making it the most remote distillery in the world. Scientists and casual visitors alike can warm up with a shot of this homemade liquor, a necessity in such an isolated environment. Despite its remote location, the Faraday Bar has become a popular spot not only for the station's scientists, but also for tourists who dare to explore the frozen landscape of the South Pole. Number 02. Mysterious particles, detected deep in Antarctica's icy expanse. Scientists have discovered something that defies the laws of physics. Since 2016, energetic particles have been mysteriously shooting out of the Antarctic ice. These particles have been detected by the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna, or ANITA for short, a NASA experiment that involved a balloon-mounted detector. Researchers were quite surprised to detect these particles in the first place, as in theory it should be nearly impossible to detect neutrinos. The particles in question usually pass straight through matter without interacting with it, just like ghosts can pass through walls. But these Antarctic neutrinos somehow not only pass through the Earth, but also emerge through the ice. If they have passed through the planet, then basically these particles defy what we know about physics. Scientists initially thought that these neutrinos could come from cosmic accelerators, massive objects in space like black holes, or gamma explosions that could throw these particles towards Earth. However, no such sources exist. They were found after extensive research using IceCube, another Antarctic neutrino detector. These have left physicists impressed, as the events described by ANITA should not be happening based on our current understanding of the universe. This means that these mysterious neutrinos could be a sign of something completely new, a fourth type of neutrino, or perhaps even evidence of dark matter or a parallel universe. What exciting yet terrifying possibilities. Number 01. The largest native land animal in Antarctica. When you think of Antarctic wildlife, you probably think of penguins and whales. Interestingly, the largest native land animal on this continent does something that is not as well known as Antarctic Mitch, a small, flightless insect that holds the title of the largest fully terrestrial animal in Antarctica, measuring only 2 to 6 meters long. This animal may be small, but it is a giant when it comes to surviving in one of the harshest environments on Earth that Antarctica has. It developed incredible adaptations to withstand the extreme conditions of its habitat. This little creature spends most of its life frozen. Somehow it withstands being frozen for up to 9 months. They can survive temperatures as low as 50 and 15 degrees C in exchange for 70% of its body fluids. It does this through a process known as rapid cold hardening. It can quickly adapt to falling temperatures by adjusting its cellular processes like any other creature in an ecosystem. Contributing to the Antarctic landscape, these tiny creatures feed on algae and fungi and help break down organic matter, recycling essential nutrients for other organisms in the Antarctic ecosystem. They may be small, but their role is not so small. We've reached the end of this video. Tell us what you think in the comments box. If you liked the video, give it a like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss future videos like this one. See you next time!